Thank you all so very much for coming on today. And I want to welcome you to When Women Unite 2023. I am Dr. Amina Ali, and I will be your host. We are going to have our co-host, of course, come on, Lisa, and she will be with us in about 2 minutes. I just texted her to find out how she is and where she is. So we will see her in about 2 minutes. But in the meantime, we are going to come in a great reverence of truth and goodness and welcome you to When Women Unite. Beautiful music is made. So thank you so much for coming.
There we go.
We have a tentative agenda today. We're going to mix matters into what we're doing and how we're doing it. So if you need to, you can take a screenshot of the agenda, but I just wanted to give you an overview of what we're going to be talking about. Nothing big, nothing long, but we did want to at least come into the understanding as to how the ebb and flow of this is going to happen. Of course, this is When Women Unify, the GGA and FIGHR MoU signing event. And we are deciding and designing a unity that is going to mix and match the powers and the talents that each entity has. So when we talk about unify, we're going to talk about the unity that brought us together. So of course, as doing things right and in order, we're going to have a communal prayer that is for all people. And that prayer is going to speak to what it is that we are as a people and how we react as a people. And this prayer, of course, is going to sanctify the goodness of us as a conglomerate of people under one guide of spirit. So if all of you can either use this as a moment of silence, I'm going to read the prayer aloud for those that may have visual acuities or those that are not able to see the screen in clarity. Almighty One, we ask that you come into this event to unify us all. Let all the religions agree and all tongues confess a oneness to make the nations one in this mission. May they all agree and see each other as one family and the whole earth as one home. May we all live together in perfect harmony, and may the intention of this meeting be the seeds of this unification. We thank you in the many names that you are called. Amen, amen, aho, ashe, and so it is. Selah.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Of
Amina,
course.
that was beautiful.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. The introduction today is very simple. You are witnessing history. I should say her story, because there's two women in the helm of this. But the formulation of two world forces for the specific and intentional mission of reaching more in service and advocacy to the muted, oppressed, silenced, and left behind voices within humanity. And that says a lot about what it is that we're doing. And this actually couples into, and you'll hear this tone throughout today, this is where it is that we bring the focus of what we do and how we do it into bringing more to the table. There's a difference between adding someone in and inclusion. And one of the things, as we wait for Lisa, one of the things that we see in this term is inclusion is at the helm, at the beginning of it, at the inception. When you bring someone in, you are including their voice. So in the planning, in the execution, in who we're going to bring on as a team, all of that is derived at the inception. That's intentional. I want to bring certain people to the table. I want to bring certain people in the room. I want to bring certain people to the knowledge that we're doing this meeting. It's all inclusion. But when you add someone on, you are adding them on because either they came to the table needing something, or they came to the table in search of something and there was the solution in that room. So when we unify, we are bringing those that are in at inception, those that came in the foreground, in the seating, in the groundwork, and you're adding in those that can benefit. So in this unification, we both are coming to the table, understanding that no matter what we do, we have others in the room that are smarter than us. And those are the ones that are in that room are going to be the ones that give us the understanding as to what needs to happen to better the mission as a whole. There is no competition in this. There is no settling for you do this, I do that. There is a unification of learn and teach in this union. And that's very, very important. Lisa and I were talking about this in February. That's how far back we go with this conversation. And we said we have to bring us to the table. We have a table already, but no one's sitting here but you and I. And that was what Lisa said. And she said, we're sitting here trying to figure out how we're going to mesh this world. And I said, well, all we got to do is just start. And she said, yeah, that's easier said than done. But we have to figure out how we're going to do this. So over the next few months, we put together our mindsets on education and reach and collaborative offerings and capacity building and all of the things that are necessary to do a successful merger. And today was the culmination, first day of the month, first day of the new month. And we are trying to get us all in the same room. Now, there's many more GGA than there ever will be FIGHR members, but what we are looking at is we are looking at what we bring to the table. So our introduction today is just the thought, and everyone that is speaking here, everyone that will hear this on the replay, what is it that you know you can bring to the table when it deals with humanity, human and gender rights, and the sanctity of what human advocacy looks like? What do you know you can bring to the table? Because that's going to be very, very important as we get into what GGA and what FIGHR will do together. So if you're a member of FIGHR, if you're a member of GGA, just think about what can you bring to the table as it pertains to the talents, gifts, and abilities that we have in this room as it relates to gender and human rights and the human aspect of service. Go ahead. This is where Lisa would come in, and I am looking to see where she is, but we're going to keep it going. We're going to keep the ball rolling. Raising the voice and building tables for all. The mission of When Women Unite 2023 is a culmination of goals, plans, policies, and missions. The goals, of course, where we see ourselves 10 years, 15, 20 years down the line. Plans, as it relates to what it is that we're going to structurally do. What are we going to improve in one entity, and what are we going to expand in another entity? Policies, how we bring that to the table. Now, I can speak volumes on policy because that's what FIGHR is about, bringing policy and legislature to the communities so that they can bring it to their representatives to be able to include their voice in change. And that's one of the huge, huge things that we do. And that's why we have a small gathering of powerful people that utilize where their tools and gifts are in policy making, in the legislature piece, and the ones that are really wanting to change what we see for ourselves and our children. And then the mission is how we're going to execute this. How are we going to put this in together? And I say in together because how are we going to put this into society together in what we're doing? Now, of course, Lisa would have spoke a little bit more eloquently on this because this is what we were going to speak on in the put together. But I hope that what we come away with in this bond and this binding is that we are being of great monumental strength to each other. I'm trying to see if there's any messages. And what it is that we are looking for is an understanding that we too are going to be bound together at the hip forever. As good friends, as great sisters, as humanitarians in this world, we have a great due diligence, and this is part of our mission, our personal purpose in life. So bringing this to the table makes it a little bit easier, but it does allow us to raise the voice of those that are muted, oppressed, suppressed, and those that are otherwise left behind in society. So part of this is going to see our way clear. And then another part of this is going to fulfill something personally for each of us. And I think that would have, I think I speak for Lisa in saying that we're excited about knowing that this is a part that we can do together. Go ahead. So our primary goals, this is where I would speak. our primary goal is created a melody that we all can sing in unity through global networks. Now, the global networks, as we know, is globally. The networks is how we work our unity. If you have something in the Eastern Bloc, if you have something in the Asian community, if you have something in the African continent, or you're far west and you're dealing with North America, there are networks in each of those spans. And each of those networks contain people that know each other. So if you know each other and you have a communal base, it is always important that you share that network. How hard would it be for you to just give a seed to someone that doesn't know what you know? How hard would it be for you to share entities of information? So many times we have people that have, they're a library in their head, and they will stand there cross-armed and, parch lip and say, nope, I'm not giving it to you no matter how much you pay me or how much you try, because I'm afraid that you're going to take it and you're going to do it better than me. Okay, so how about if we learn it from someone else and still do it better than you? What difference would it make? At least you would be contributing to the goal of getting that entity out there. So the global networks is designed in this unification is to share. I know FIGHR, we give away more stuff than we probably want to admit on paper, but we share because we know that this is how the world works. No one has garnered wisdom by paying for it. Wisdom is free. Wisdom is time, talent, experience, education, knowledge, wisdom, all bound together in what you have learned. And this is where the networks come in. There's going to be somebody that's a retired teacher that's going to teach me how to teach better. There's going to be someone that's a retired nurse that is going to come and teach the next generation of nurses how to be better nurses through mentorship. So who loses in that? The retiree knows that they have the wisdom, and the new student knows that they know nothing. So if they know that that person can give them that knowledge, that information, that garnering, who loses in that? So what we see in the global networks is a goal that we're going to have is to expand that. The mutual community-based organization is because each one of us, and if you look at go through the participants, each one of us probably belong to an NGO in our own right. That we have our own NGO, we have a set of skills and skill sets that we either upskill or we reskill daily in keeping our NGO going. So in knowing that, we have community-based organizations right here in the room that we can tap into. How many of us have actually called on each other to speak at an event? Or maybe saw each other worthy of getting on a Zoom with a great cup of coffee and just learning about what they do. So the goal is to find out what we do and what we have in the room, what we have in FIGHR that we have not shared through GGA. Once we do, we're going to put together a board that is going to be mutual, both FIGHR and GGA, and it's going to be half and half. So if we have 10 people, 5 is GGA, 5 is FIGHR, because we're going to be mutual in sharing this community-based organization. And we're going to share what we have. Who do we have in the room? What NGO works with children that are disabled through tragedy? What organization do we have that deals with women and children with visual acuities or lowered visual acuities? How do we know that even exists if we don't commune together in the understanding of what we have? So this is what the current assignment that we're going to look to in what we have as far as a mutual community base. Then the vocational, professional, and educational training. This is huge. As all of us know in this, we both have educational platforms. We all have tables that we sit at that teach and we learn, and we are educators and we are leaders. And this is prime. And we're going to come together and we're going to put together one platform for GGA and FIGHR, and we're going to offer dual classes. And these classes are going to feed on each other. So if I offer one, if FIGHR offers one for, let's say, capacity building, then GGA will offer one capacity building in humanity. So you have to take this class in order to take this class. You see how that works? So these are going to build on each other so that we show the commonality and the greatness in what it is that we build each together. And then how it is that we can expand that so everyone gets their fill. It was really sad when we started doing this, and Lisa had brought this up, and I was really tickled when she said it. It was sad in what she said, but I was tickled in how she brought it up, because she said, you know, we both have platforms and we both have people taking our classes. She said, but how cool would it be if we could sit back and figure out how much of this we are doing together? We're doing almost like the same thing. And how much of this we can actually combine, and you can add this and I can add that, and we can make a phenomenal class. And I say it was sad because we were doing almost the same thing. And I say it in the capacity of what we were doing individually. We were mimicking each other if we look at the class structure. So when we decided to go off and do a more inclusive, intensive thing when we started Harbor Heritage, she said, that's perfect. She said, Amina, you just hit the nail on the head. She said, not only are we going to be a part of it, but all of our programs can now be under a universal title. We can have university classes instead of just having professional classes. How cool would it be for a school to back the program? I said, done. So that was one of the things that we settled on. We haven't put it together as to how it's going to be, but I know that the educational piece and the fortitude of that will be under a higher umbrella that will give more reputation and more integrity to the classes that we give. And of course, always is going to bridge the understanding of what we can do in humanity. And last but not least is domestic and international philanthropic giving, which is a key factor in GGA. And I really isolate this as a talent that GGA has, that their giving is very, very monumental. It's something that I admire greatly. And it holds a great strength in me to say that Lisa has cornered that market. Now we give in subsidy. We don't give money. We give subsidy, we give training, we give acumen in kind donations and that sort. So we'll give pads, we'll give the birth kits, we give the, just recently we did the sanitary napkin, the reusable sanitary napkin. We just gave 500 of them to an organization. So this is what we do. We have people that will make the napkin and then we just donate it. Well, Lisa had a great idea, absolutely phenomenal idea, and I wish she was here to be able to share it, that the philanthropic giving was for them to empower themselves. How cool would it be for them to make their own pads? We just give a startup donation, or maybe give a what do they call them? Scalable grants that they either don't pay back per se in money, but they pay back in giving. So they make, let's say, instead of paying back $500, they give away $500 in free product of what they make. And that could be done in a scholastic, a scholarship of giving. So we can give a small micro grant to that organization that will make the product and sell it to their own community. So that was a huge, huge twist in my mind as far as what we can do and how we can do it. So the unification in that is one of our primary goals. Okay, you can. We are going to start talking to the collaborators. And once we get Lisa on here, I don't see a message returned. Okay. Once we get Lisa on here, we will hear, but in the interest, I hope everything is okay. In the interest of keeping things flowing, I am going to open up with some of the things that we do at FIGHR. And I'm going to bring my paperwork out to get the collaborative effort of FIGHR. So I'm going to speak, Lisa was going to speak about what GGA was going to bring. I'm going to speak about what FIGHR is going to bring. And this was going to close out the nuts and bolts. And then we're going to speak about what it means as a community, okay? GGA is opening a novice communication entity of unity. FIGHR receives that, and we thank you. The Federation of International Gender and Human Rights is a social impact organization that is designed and divined to bring repeatable and retainable solutions in perpetuity. And we design this with intention. We do it because there is a need and there is a want in a community. And we do it because people are in suffrage. We deal with sexual and gender-based violence, domestic and intimate partner violence. We deal with child bride and the suffrage of dealing with birthing through fistula because of FGM. We also deal with survivor sex and the survival sex that they had to deal with in their sexual or human trafficking trauma that they went through. And we take those cases and we use community-based organization and community action programs, or CAPS as we call it. And we cap them with people that are already in the field that can give them services where they are. Some of them are virtual services, some of them are hands-on real-time services, but all of their services are specific and intentional. We do the inclusion with equity and equality. Now I'm going to explain what equity and equality is as it relates to FIGHR. I repeated this mantra in 1995 when I was speaking at an event trying to get this, and it's dating me. I was about 10 years into the military. Ooh, I'm dating myself. And we were seeing an influx of women that were being trafficked. We didn't use that word back then, of course, but we also saw that those that were coming here to the United States were coming under secret cloak. And that's because they were escaping these things. And we saw it most, especially right after Desert Storm when I was in Saudi Arabia, and we saw a lot of people coming over from the Asian continent. From when I say the Asian continent, of course, we're talking about Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Malaysia, and they were coming over. And they were coming over because of what they saw in their communities as torment, as trial, trauma. And they were coming over because they were needing a safe space, a safe place. And we were noticing that the women, especially in my capacity as an OB, that we were seeing women that were birthing through fistula. Fistula, of course, is the narrowing of the path that the birth canal is through FGM. And we were doing that, we were seeing that happening over and over, and women were hemorrhaging. And I saw that there was a need for us to get in and start educating that this is wrong. And of course, right before 9/11 in 2000, they passed a law that it was illegal to pasture those traditions in the United States. And of course, then Canada adopted it. And then other countries started adopting it. The EU was next. And then we saw the passage come most recently in 2016 in the African continent, where it is outlawed now in all but 3 states, 3 countries in the African continent. And it is outlawed because they understand that it is against a human repertoire that we know to be the human decency of a woman. And this is a gender-based violence that was perpetrated on women, and specifically towards women in the advantageousness of trying to keep them pure for marriage. So when we saw this and we brought this over with a few tangents. That one, we were going to see women a little bit better than what they were causative in tradition or in culture. And we were going to see women in what we saw to be true and right for what it is that for what it is to be true and right in what we saw women to be better at. Okay, yeah, is it back on? So this was defending themselves and raising their voice. So we were settling in on what we attribute to what is necessary and needed to raise their voice. So slowly but surely, we got on the bandwagon of making sure that education was a huge part of it. Now, me being educated formally in school was one thing, but to know what it is that I missed in some of those classes, or what intentionally wasn't given to me when we were going through medical school, was that there wasn't a need for a human aspect to medicine. We were more on the allopathic piece, which is what targets the body. But we have to look at the whole person, and the whole person may come on to our medical care based on things that are not necessarily biological. It could be environmental. It could be, now we call biopsychosocial, which is the environment, the psychology, and then the environment. The biology, the person, the psychology, and the environment. And then couple that with trauma, trial, trigger, will offset a lot of the binary pieces that we see in our makeup. So FIGHR decided that we were going to put education, medicine, and now politics or law into effect to make greater laws work. Now we have ambassadors that are from the United Nations, from the African Union, okay, and as well as from the ECOWAS, which is the West African states. And we use these professionals to get into policy. Now, why do we do that? Our policies are very, very strong in what we command. In 2000, what was that, 18? We did a maternal care policy for the United Nations, which set a precedent in the African countries, and especially with Africa CDC, to be able to get better measures of quality care in mobile units for rural areas. And one of the things that our data and our analytics brought up was bring medicine to the people. Stop making them walk 4 and 5 hours of a walk to get to the nearest clinic, and put something mobile in their community. I would rather them walk a mile to get to a mobile unit than 5 miles in the heat and exsanguinate or bleed out. This is where we understood. Now, it sounded easy and it sounded like, okay, that's common sense, but common sense wasn't common when we're dealing with policy and procedures with most governments. So that's why we had to deal with NGOs. NGOs was the feet on the ground. The non-governmental organizations were the feet on the ground that allowed these mobile units to come into areas. Now we have container units, which are mobile units, but they're able to be set there to use at the time in the rural areas. And we set them down to be used in congruence with education and leadership. And then when that is finished, we set aside that mobile unit to be used in another area while they build the standard unit or the permanent unit. So some of the things, that's just a handful of some of the things that FIGHR does, but the design that FIGHR brings is we bring those that are in command, those that are in power, those that want to keep their seats in orchestrated governmental entities. And we bring them to the floor and we say, this is what is happening. Now, of course, GGA, as I would have finished, has a greater reach. And that reach is going to allow more NGOs in the room, and that NGOs that are powerful in their own right, so that they will have that voice to be able to set that precedence for what it is that they need and want. We can only do what we know to be true and right for what we have in front of us. But when we know that there are people out there that have a reach that's greater than ours, that can set that table a little longer, or as I like to say, add leaps to the table to extend it and allow it to be a little bit more inclusive, we allow more people to be heard, more voices to be elongated in this theory, and more times that we are able to see what we are doing to be true, right, and continual. And this is what I see as a great advent to this union, that we will be able to see who we have in the room and then what it is that is necessary and needed to continue. I don't see any notification from Lisa, and I'm so sorry. Sharon, can you speak a little bit about GGA, just on the offense of what you bring and what you offer just in her stead?
Okay, well, I've been with GGA for a very long time, We like to try to bring, in all honesty, goodness and kindness throughout the world. Yes. And I'm in New Jersey in the United States, and it's horrible how people are here. Yes. I mean, instead of to me, like everybody's in the same place, no matter where you live or where you reside, we're all suffering from one form or another of COVID. And people, instead of people being kind and trying to help one another, it's a nightmare out here. So I mean, I'm going to say for my husband and myself, we believe very much in doing a random act of kindness. I mean, we may not have a lot, but when you see people out there that have hardly anything, doesn't hurt, it doesn't cost, just be kind. We've taken strange people out to dinner. I mean, I'm going to talk for New Jersey. It's sad when you see women or men on the streets with little children by their side, holding a big sign, "Will work for food." That breaks my heart. So what we've done in the past, and we still continue to do, is these are strange people to me. So first, growing up in New York City, I mean, I got to pray that they're not a lunatic, aren't you? But I mean, honestly, we go and I don't care who they are. We'll go ahead and we'll either bring food to them if I know they're in a safe place, or take them to a restaurant and at least, let them eat something. We've done that, as a matter of fact, just recently. My husband and I try to go like in the morning to a Mexican restaurant for breakfast. And I know that June was supposed to be the month of mental illness. Mm-hmm. a man walked in, an older man, probably older than me. He walked in with his son, and the man looked maybe 80 and the son looked maybe 60. And you could see that there was something wrong with the son, that he was mentally challenged. So what John and I did is we went up to the cashier and said, I don't care what they eat, we want to pay for them. Just do something decent, you know. It doesn't hurt. But I mean, I think most of the people, I'm going to say for GGA, almost everybody's been really good, and they're doing one thing or another. People that have their own NGOs, I'm going to just bring up two of them. One, I know he was here. I don't know if he's still here. My buddy, Attican.
Attican, yes, Wheels of Hope Foundation. Absolutely. Shout out to them. Absolutely.
And another one is Taiwo.
I don't think he was here. I didn't see him come on, but yeah, I yes.
It's all the goodness we do. You know what though surprises me? Even when I hear you talk, I'm going to say for the United States, I'm going to talk for. We're so used to being a free country and like having all these things on hand, like for women, sanitary napkins, all other things, that I myself never realized in other countries, it's not there. And I mean, and it really is a big deal to go ahead and to bring that. Another thing I like, I'm going to say for Attican's organization, because I know more about his, I love when other countries, when they teach their people like how to do farming, instead of giving them, here's the tomatoes and the vegetables, they're teaching them a trade. They're teaching them something that's going to be with them forever. Here's how you plant. Here's how you irrigate the land. Here, I mean, and then you actually see, hopefully, the vegetables come up to see what you did.
Yes.
But it's, I mean, we're all really trying our best. It's just been really hard, though. I'm going to say out here, I've never seen such nasty people. And I thought, why? There's no reason why. Just try to be kind. And there's so many shut-ins. So we used to bring food to them and vegetables and all. You know what? You just do the right thing. And I mean.
Yes, and I agree. And I think I was looking to see if I got a message. But I agree. And I'm in New York, you know, I'm right up the street from you. But I think that when we see that, especially after this last crisis we had in New York with the Canadian fires, I have to see the good in what has come of this. And you mentioned it very, very poignantly when you said that you went up and you helped the people to eat. We don't normally speak on what we do as far as giving. But one of the things that I notice in society now here in New York, especially here in my area, which is near Harlem, there is a huge outcry for people giving food. I don't know what it is. I think it's from COVID. You know, people were so shut in, they couldn't get to the food. But there are churches and organizations that if you go in the front door, there's a big, almost like, do you remember, and I know most of you in the United States remember, the Toys for Tots. You remember how you go into a store and whatever toy you have, you just dropped it in the box, and all those stores decided to send the toys to Toys for Tots, the Marine Corps organization. They have that for food now in some of these places. And it's a big like washing machine box, and you just drop the food in there, and then they donate it to whatever, and then on the front of it, it'll say whatever shelter that it's going to go to. Like this week, we will be donating this food to shelter such and such and such, or hospital such and such and such, or Meals on Wheels, which is a huge thing here, which everybody just doesn't even realize how important. And I'd love to bring that to another country, a Meals on Wheels for the seniors. But that is a huge piece that I'm noticing now, that they are doing random acts of kindness like that, where people are coming out of the grocery store, buying a little extra, putting it in that box and going about their business. And it's, you know, it's like nothing for them to give a bag of rice or to give a couple of cans of vegetables or something. You know, just doing that allows somebody to eat, you know, for a couple of days. So that is a huge, huge thing. And it was orchestrated so well in the community that no one even knew it was happening. It was one of those things where you kept going into stores and you see in the boxes and you're like, what is this box for? So this is some of the things, getting back onto our task. Thank you, Sharon. These are some of the things that we're going to be doing in our communities. These are some of the things that I pray that will be advantageous to us moving forward in what we are going to be developing together. And of course, GGA and FIGHR doing it together with the resources and talents that we have. Okay, so this is where she would have spoke, and this is where I would have spoke. So why the merger? Now we talked about what it was. Now we got to talk about the why. Why is this important and why now? I know when we deal with money and we deal with mergers and acquisitions in business, that's the number one thing. That's before anything. Why are we doing this and why now? So why the merger of GGAF and FIGHR? So how do we get here? GGA has the reach and the connection worldwide, 19,000 ambassadors in 215 nations and territories. I can't even begin to even tell you how many people that is. That is and we're talking about 19,000 ambassadors that are in 215 nations, which means they are leaders in 215 nations. So can you imagine how many people they are affecting in those 215 nations? So that is huge, 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 huge. They're engaged worldwide with web-enabled technologies to reach and connect communities. Remember, we talked about the networks. Remember, we spoke about how big a network is and how the network is your net worth. So GGA has a huge, huge value to the integrity of what it is that is necessary. Now, they're also open to bringing new talent to the table in the development of best practices in philanthropic giving. So this is a huge piece, how they're gonna, I know FIGHR brought on a grant writer just recently, but GGA is gonna talk about how to expand the giving, how it can be a repeatable giving, or maybe a legacy giving where we do it now and then, you know, money is lent later on, that we continue the advantageousness. And that's huge, huge, huge. FIGHR, the Federation of International Gender and Human Rights, is a scalable human service connection in specific fields. We're there for a reason. We are in politics. We are in legislature. We are in the hospitals. We are in the courts because we want to get this justice. So we're physically in these spaces. So we are a smaller entity. We have 21 mission and diplomatic ambassadors in only 9 countries. And we're also in the United Nations, the African Union, and ECOWAS, respectively. So we have diplomats that are actually in. We have one ambassador that literally retired from the United Nations to come work with FIGHR. And he wanted to keep his feet wet, if you will. He had the insights as to how the UN works with garnering policy and the General Assembly. He also had knowledge as to what it is that's necessary as far as buzzwords to put on in the wording of what you want and how you want it. So that was very, very clear when we brought him on. The African Union, of course, because we are filling that space for the diaspora, for those that are not of birth in Africa, but are of African descent, to include Europe, the West here in North America, and far reaches south as Australia and Newfoundland. And we're utilizing the African Union to bring all of those voices together to make sure that the voice of those of African descent, of course, is heard. ECOWAS deals with West Africa, which is the hub of the communication, which is the West African states, which is of the primal source, which is, I call it the business hub, or the epicenter of what we are dealing with as far as the commission on bringing more businesses over and sharing the entity of businesses. So knowing what is necessary and needed in those areas and then bringing it to other areas for those repeatable processes. The collaborative research of international and foreign policy contributors, offering educational options for those in benevolent work. So we're going to train you. So many times we say, just show up and be an example. But so many people say, you know, Dr. Mina, that's not that easy. You know, when you show up in your community, what are you doing? So many people want you to have a piece of paper, or they want you to be trained in something, or they want you to have 20 years doing something. Not everybody has that. So why don't we train you in what we need right now? So FIGHR brings that to the table, and we get reputable teachers and instructors that will bring that foreign policy and that international policy there to the benevolent work. We work with houses of worship so that we get the reach out even further. How many times have we had people from different areas go to one church? So if we say it in one area, now that goes to other areas and it spreads the word. So we use diplomatic timetables to disseminate this information over the garment of houses of worship, community action agencies, NGOs, CBOs, and those agencies that we know are in the community doing the work. And of course, offering top line education deliverables through our university, which we are going to put into place with GGA as of today. This union will cultivate one-on-one networks to reach all countries and with repeatable and sustainable programs and mutual educational models, maximize timely, real-time programming to use in this education. So we're not going to make it 20 years to take you to get the degree. We may have a very accelerated program that you could take over the weekend. And as long as you can answer the questions, finish the test, or turn in the report, you can be certified in as little as the weekend to do some of the things in your community. So we're making sure that we give credence to the value of time. And then use the reach of GGA and the research of FIGHR to introduce policy to local governments for support of rights. How good is it that a community can get together and build on what they want, and then the government not support it, or the government not feed it, or the government not give it its due diligence in repeating it in their ministries of service? So what we are doing is, if we have the reach and we have the people and the bodies and the work and the capacity, we're going to bring it to government, because there's more of us than there ever will be of heads of government. So if more people start talking to their government, things will have to change. We noticed that in the United States, and we're going to bring that over to other countries to know that there are more people in there as constituents than there ever will be governmental officials. And we have to use the voice of that power effectively. Next, go ahead, is we are going to look at the areas of focus, educational and vocational, as we spoke about, and in-kind charitable donations. This is where Lisa was going to speak on the philanthropic piece, but I'll speak on the educational and vocational. Develop winning strategies to keep ahead of the competition. And there is competition out there. There are forces out there that are wanting for us to be shut down. And there are forces out there that are trying to say that we don't have the integrity or the valor or the backing, or the classes are just people getting together and teaching what they know. Well, what do you think education is? What do you think the standardized testing is for the higher educational levels? And what do you think we're going to be utilizing when we get in the accredited pieces? Now, Harbor Heritage University is accredited. But how do you think that came to be? We didn't just wake up one morning and said we're going to put a program together. We had to get information from different didactics and research and data and analytics and put that together, because that forms the program as to what we are dealing with in society. So we're going to capitalize on low-hanging fruit in inaccessibility to identify a ballpark value of service and the reach that we need together. So if GGA has people that are suffering in certain things, we're going to bring the talents, gifts, and abilities together. If FIGHR has the capacity to teach in a certain area to bring those people into a higher resonation, then this is what we're going to do, and vice versa. Last one, offer educational work that is affordable and accessible. Number one, how cool would it be for someone that probably would never reach a third grade education is now trained to be a human rights advocate and is going into court and setting the precedence for a young lady to be able to get divorced, a 12-year-old young lady get divorced from her 40-year-old husband and now live the life that she chooses to live. How cool would that be for you to be able to go and give that girl an opportunity to get that education? Well, if it's not affordable, how can she attain it? So our goal is to make sure that all of our classes are affordable, to include sliding scale, free scholarship, and community-based teaching, which allows the value to the worth to be there. So if we're going to have this class offered, we got to have at least 10 to 15 people in the room to show the value to the worth. So this is where we're going to couple the education and vocation. As you see, the in-kind charitable donations, of course, Lisa was going to speak to this, to develop interactive approaches to corporate strategies and getting donations and reaching the disadvantaged, to establish a management framework from the two sides, and to open connection and conversation of best practices to serve those closest to the problem and achieve the needed height for their solutions. And then to sustain an ongoing referral program for those in acute needs and those inaccessible to the relief needed. So she would have said it a little bit more poignant than I, but of course she has the didactic in philanthropic giving. Next. Okay. Next is, the signing of the MoU. Wow. Since we don't have Lisa here, I am going to show mine to show that, and of course, we signed it this morning, so we would have it. But I'm going to show that both of us have signed the form. And I don't know, oh, can't see it with the background. Oh, no. Oh, okay, there we go. I don't know if you can see the signatures. Is that good?
Don't know.
No. Maybe I'll just turn my background off. Hold on, let me turn my back because you have to see it. You have to see it. Oh, didn't mean to do that.
You disappeared.
Yeah, I sure did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now you're visible.
My background. And I can, there we go. Okay. You still can't see it. Okay, hold on.
Can't you share that with us?
Can you, I don't know if I guess I can take a picture of it and send it, if that's what you mean. Yes, sure. Hold on. Because I am, oh, wow. I am trying to get this. Hold on, let me get it. Let me take a picture now. I can share that with you right now. All right, picture is taken. Now I'm going to send it here. Let's see if I can share it. Guys, you're gonna have to help me in the background here and see if you can get this up and share it on the chat. Because I know we can share documents now on this chat, and that was amazing. That was an amazing feature. Let me see. Okay, well, I tell you what, can I send it to you, Sharon?
Sounds good.
And you put it in the group, or you could put it in the. Okay, hold on. Can you guys do that for me, please? So we can keep going. I appreciate it. Okay. Thank you. Yes, right here. Okay. And you did it? Oh, okay, Sharon, he said that it should be in the group.
Oh,
It should be, check the group now. He said it should be in the group. The board of directors, he said. And if
oh,
you,
I can't get in there.
huh?
I can't get in the board of directors because I'm not a board of, yeah. I was looking to see if Attican was here because he could have gotten in, or Razzie.
Razi, yes, and share it with the other groups.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Attican, I know could have. I'm not sure with Razzie. And I don't see Razzie here. He might have left already.
Adigun, I see Timoteo. Yes, Adigun, if you can you take the document that just went into the board of directors, and can you share that with the groups that you have, please? So everyone will be able to get a copy of it, and we'll see that it has been signed by both Lisa and I, making this official. And I'm so, oh, wait a minute, I just gotta, hold on. Dave her husband just sent me a text. Hi, Sister Amina, we are at the hospital. I took us
Oh,
out
gee.
breakfast this morning and a car T-boned us at an intersection.
Oh.
Oh my God. Cuts and bruises, but Lisa has a concussion and they are running other tests because she has horrible pain in her stomach. I'm sorry, this was all my fault. I was just taking my wife out for breakfast. I will keep you up. Oh no, okay. All right, so we're gonna have to cut this short because we have to, yeah, we definitely gonna have to get out. Oh, wow, okay.
out to her too, Dr. Amina, and I'm sitting here waiting to hear back from her.
Yeah, okay, I
Sorry
just
about
got this message in just as I was making sure that this was sent to Atagun.
Oh, God.
Okay, so, okay. Okay, so in keeping with this, I'm going to finish off. Yes, good. Summary closing remarks. At GGAF and FIGHR, we believe in giving 110% of those who we are and what we have. By using our next generation real-time services, we help communities virtually manage agile solutions. This union will thrive because of our market knowledge and the great team behind our services. Ongoing efficiencies come from proactive transformation, transforming how we do peace. This is a great thing. We don't have any Q&A. I didn't see any in the chat as I was looking just now. So I just want to thank you all for joining us today. I'm rushing now because I literally have to get off this and get to finding out where Lisa is. The recording of this will be given to Atagun so that he could share it for those that missed it. Sharon, I'm also going to share it with you so that you can send it out to even further people. And what it is that we're going to do is we're going to close this out in a prayer. And I don't know, even if we have to just do a still small prayer, and I just feel compelled to do that. So I'll do it. Thank you, Almighty One. Thank you for this time and this space. Thank you for the deliberate time that we had together today in unifying this mission. The congratulations are here, but it is bittersweet. So we are asking for you to shine a light on our fearless leader and her husband in their time of need. We ask that each of us find time today to reach out to Lisa and to Dave to allow them to know that we are praying for them. And we ask for you to move mountains, to heal her quickly, and to allow her to return to us in real time. Thank you so very much. Amen, amen, aho, ashe, and so it is. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you so very much for staying the course, staying the measure, and staying in the greater truth of this unification. It was necessary and needed, and I appreciate each and every one of you for being here today. So thank you again from GGA and from the Federation of International Gender and Human Rights. Uh-oh, I think I froze.
I think you did.
Yeah, I think I was frozen. I thank you again, and I appreciate your time. We'll talk soon. And we'll keep you posted as we learn more about Lisa and this accident. So thank you so much. God bless you so much. I will talk soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you again. Bye-bye.